Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you for checking out my channel. My name is Allie with a.Marie.Speaks. It is July 7th, 2026, and this is going to be a bit of a random morning ponderings kind of video. I think I really would like to speak a bit about solutions, about unity, connections, and this sort of, when I say solutions, I mean towards the world around us and the kind of things that we choose to believe in, choose to encounter, and choose to think are real, because there's certain things in the world which we bump into, and those things, for whatever reason, seem very real to us. There's also another layer of the world out there which we do not bump into, but we also envision, sense, believe that it's just as real and viable and impressionable upon us as that world that we do bump into. And it's the way that we choose to think about how we operate with the world around us really starts to set parameters about how the world interacts with us. And to me, when we remember where the locus of control rests, then we truly have a chance to find real harmonious solutions. We really have a chance to find that unity and integration that I think everybody really wants. Everybody senses that that's the answer, the way to move towards. But when we're presented with seemingly opposing situations in our real world, that helps fuel and cement in all of these other kind of controversial, fear-driven distortions that we carry and hold about this external world that we don't actually bump into. And they sort of cement each other in together in this kind of way that almost seems like it does it without us, and that then sets up our experiences for what we encounter in our worlds. And I think, if and when we're seeing a lot of things that we disagree with, or we don't like, or we're encountering a lot of individuals who seem contrary or offensive or disgusting, angry, hateful, we see these reflections in other people, and then we start to tell ourselves, a lot of people out there are like this, most people are like that, me and a couple select few are not like this. That just builds out an expectation into that third party space that asks for more confirmation that what you think about people that you know or don't know, or that you barely know, or even people you know really well, or you think you know really well. It's just asking that external place to provide more that will match your expectations. And one of the biggest things for me is the mindset factor, and the sort of imagination space that gets created in each one of us that tells us what our world is like, the story that we kind of build, like, what's the world about? What's all these other people here all about? For me, I really tried to set a foundation of transparency and honesty. And what does that mean to me? Well, that means that I have to look at myself honestly. I have to interact with myself transparently. I have to hold myself accountable for those different versions and shades of myself that are in there. When I do that with compassion, like I've said this so many times, it's like a practice. It's a double layer practice, that's real work on both ends of practice. Neither one is an imaginary or a, what's the word? When you have like a play and it's not the actual play, they do oh my gosh, I don't know. People are probably, is this word? Whatever. Before the actual play, there's all these different versions of it that get done out, all of the versions are worth it, and the practice, the inner work that you're doing that nobody else sees, that helps with the external practice involving other people. And well, they both really help each other. That's why I was saying it's kind of a twofold practice, because both of them are encouraging teach learning in different ways, that then student becomes teacher, teacher becomes student in all these different ways, whether it's internally or externally working. So looking at ourselves internally first and seeing this, when I did this with myself, it's like it really helped me to then open up the floor to strangers, to people I know well and people I just know a little bit, to offer them that same open awareness that I offer myself, and to think others think like I do. Others, at the core of their being, are good-hearted, are honest, are trying to do their best of whatever they think is the best for them at that moment. And extending this out to everyone, regardless of the fact that, okay, probably there are outliers out there who do not want everybody's best. There's negative agendas. There's, demonic entities or archonic entities, whatever we want to call this kind of thing, that operate completely differently. And I get that, but you know what? When I do this practice and when I see everyone and when I extend this grace out, I don't care. I don't care who and what the backstory is, or how they might have acted or presented themselves in different cases and different scenarios. I really try to just wash it over everyone and everything, and not allow extenuating circumstances or what ifs or outliers to pop up and taint the experience, the vision of that. And I don't do that from a rose-tinted glasses, filter over it, just whitewash the whole thing. It's not that intention, although from a surface, superficial level, it can get taken like that, But I'm not. But here's the deal. I don't mean it that way, because underneath it is, to me, truth. Because whether or not something is even at this extreme level of serving a negative agendas and being a cog in a wheel with focus and purpose to be negatively aligned, to hurt others, to harm others, to just fulfill their needs at the expense of anybody else, or even to really promote and force visions that are cut off and separate from God, or that want to go against and fight God. I choose to send that grace even to those beings, because I truly believe at the core state of inside their DNA, they have purpose, they have connection to God, infinite creator, and that by doing that, it helps with acceptance, it helps with openness, and it also helps charge that positive atmosphere, the spirit layer, the sort of netting that connects us all, that says, yeah, I see what you're doing in the construct. Yeah, I see your actor portrayal role of the super bad guy, and you're doing a great job at being a super bad guy in the role that needs to be played here. But I remember you're an actor. I remember that you auditioned for this. I remembered that you go home at night and put your head down on the pillow, and you're not Dr. Evil, or you're not, I can't even think of any of these other like superficial, these Hollywood kind of bad guy people, Darth Vader, all the culminations of the super bad people. You're not that, actually. You're Christ consciousness. You're God, source creator. You're, like I talked about in the What If We Were a Simulation, a separation simulation, you're my brother, Jesus Christ, incarnation of a different form, a fractal carnation of him, learning every lesson from every angle, like a beautiful cut diamond of 100 facets. Your shining side matters. Your shadowed, reflective, cut-in corner that creates darkness matters to the whole of this beautiful gem that is Christ Jesus, or is the Son of God, or is you, is me, is every single one of us, is actually the Father, by extension, our wonderful infinite creator. And so just by doing that, just by holding that space and that truth for myself, I really, it helps me to let it permeate through and accept the world that I see, and also build more deeply the true world, the world that I see inside my heart center, not that I see with my eyes, and that these eyes see the construct built of earthly matter, pick up earthly matter and feed it into the processing of myself and my thoughts. I am telling my heart's vision to my thoughts and my eyes in order so they can see it. Because what we tell ourselves to see, our eyes look around for. You can call it the RAS system, and you can get into, white coat scientism, and if you need evidentiary confirmation in that kind of way, you can look into the reticulator activating system. I can never remember this correctly. Anyways, basically, what you have a familiarity with, what you have a foundation for, like I just said, your inner sight tells your eyes what to go out and look for. And it looks for confirmation of what you've told it to look for. And then it says, oh, there's like when you buy a new car, you thought you bought a car like this version you never see anywhere, and then you saw it at the lot and you're like, wow, that's different to me, I never see that anywhere, let me get that one. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you drive, there's that car, there's the car, there's the car. But this is like I said, a twofold practice. It is not just monkeys jamming on typewriters, neurons firing, now we notice things with no purpose behind it. There truly is actually doubled layered purpose behind that. And it's the fact that your conscious intelligence, source infinite creator within you, has already set instructions for what the body does. Because the mind tells the body what to do. The body does not do anything on its own. The body is a vessel, an instrument that is enlivened by mind and soul, or spirit, whatever. Some people like to delineate differences between those two. Circumstances might call for that kind of definition, drawing out of nuances, but for me, I'm just going to leave it there. But anyway, so fueling my mind, fueling my heart center first with what I know to be true, which is that God resides within everything. This is on purpose, with purpose, that we are meant to bring forth the vision, the organic template underneath. We are meant to call it up and out and to bring it forth in the way that we want it to. Much like if you've ever, as a kid, done those scratch away drawings, or we used to make them as kids, but now they have them, you can buy pads of paper that are like this. But when we were kids, you'd take markers, you'd make a drawing on a white piece of paper, and probably not a piece of paper, you'd use like cardboard or poster board or whatever, but you draw your picture with markers, and then over it you'd use black crayon, and you'd color the whole page, black it out as dark as you can over and over again till it's like really thick crayon. And then you take something sharp, like a pen cap, or depends on what you want, a needle or a paper clip or whatever, and you can scratch away the black wax crayon, and out from underneath it comes the colored picture that you had underneath it, and you make a new picture based on what you kind of scratch away and what it brings out. And this is my metaphor kind of for what the world is, for what Earth is, for how we ascend and move forward, and how we're growing and changing humanity, all of life on this planet, and then the whole of this construct as well is doing. The organic template is underneath. It's always been there. It's written. It cannot be tainted or faded. But shadow and all these different things are piled on top of it in order for us to finally decide for ourselves and bring out that picture on our own, kind of. So remembering that and honoring everyone else, and really casting out in my subconscious and consciously into my awareness as well, that everyone is just like me, that people are good at the base of their heart, and that people want what is best for them and what's best for them around, for all of their loved ones, right? This, to me, is the basis of sort of a solution, and bringing back continuity and connection, at least, so that we realize we all have common ground to stand on. The other thing, that really has to happen is, like I mentioned before, we have to have a connection in the heart center. We have to actually activate that center. There's lots of different ways to do it, but if we can't be scared of it, we can't have a hardened heart, we can't be blocked off. And there's loads of different reasons that we talk ourselves into barricading and putting on like armor and all this kind of stuff. But this is also sort of a backwards, misconstrued conception in order to sort of attempt to hold division and hold separation. Much like, we don't understand, or we tend to have a lack of understanding about the way we think shapes our world, and the way we think about others really shapes interactions with all of us. We also have to know that our body, our vessel, is more than what we've been told, and that it's not just about feel good feelings and high vibes. It's much deeper than that, and it has to do with truly diving into acceptance and forgiveness, and seeing, this is why the practice of seeing others as a reflection of self, extending out those common courtesies, that grace that we find for ourselves, helping ourselves, practicing giving it to others, is such a foundational process, because we can't fully forgive ourselves without learning to forgive others. We can't fully forgive another without learning how to forgive self. And once we start to do this real work and start to sort of weed out, what is gold and what is rock, we start to see the pile of rocks, sort of, and versus the gold. And that kind of comprehension and distinctions really help with that third party space of never anymore even bothering with it, or trying to cast assumptions or preconceptions or projections out into that space at all. Because we'll realize that, wow, I had such a confusion, and I had clouded these things together so much, rocks and gold, before, in my own inner world and in my very direct world, that clearly I was incorrect. Clearly I was mistaken in my eyes seeing what I thought I was seeing, because I've been living focused on what I think I see, without realizing I made what I see, And once we realize, oh, I made what I see, let me let go of what I think I'm making and try to just honestly, actually observe instead of see a thing. Let me observe. You find what you never thought you saw before, or you notice what you've purposely ignored and forgot you purposely ignored even. And that tells us again, how could we ever base judgments on things, places we've never been, scenarios we were not a part of, cultures that we were never a part of, everything from, Hollywood movies and propaganda and media, all the way through personal media and propaganda of social media. It starts to really all kind of just not even bother with it. What's the point of any of it? And let it all go. And when you bounce into things with it, it is not anything that will ever trigger you, make you jump out, try to get out into that real world, or pull that stuff into your real world, because you'll realize, actually, I probably see just a faceted one side of this multidimensional shape, and I'm not at a proximity to where I could ever even see from another angle any of the other shapes. So let me just take the one glimpse that I'm getting, remember it's a mere fragmented glimpse, and let it go. And when we do that, when we offer privacy almost to third-party space out there, this is common sovereign respect, and the universe responds really quickly to that. And you'll find your own safe haven. You'll find your own security in your inner world will become very private. Not private because everything is always seen and everything is seen by God. And you won't even want the privacy so much. It's not a seclusion of privacy. It's not a blackened out window of privacy. And to create shadow inside so no one can see what you're doing, and now you feel safe because no one sees what you're doing. Actually, it creates this sort of, I don't care whether people see or not, because I am proud and happy and confident in what I do. And so I don't care. And when we realize, I don't care if anybody saw or didn't see, it's your inner world. Nobody gets in there anyways. Literally no one but you and God can see in there. And that's the perfection in the design. Because when you get comfortable with this sort of lack of organic privacy, you start to realize that I had it backwards in the first place, because we think we want privacy to hide a thing or to maintain modesty or to keep something for ourselves. And it's like, but when we realize that there's no shame, there's nothing that's kept to self, and that everything should be open and transparent, we want 360-degree interactions and transactions to be available at all times. We sort of relinquish that fight. And what happens is, again, we actually realize that it's like a two-way mirror, actually, or a two-way window or whatever to the inner world. We can see out all the time, and we feel like we're seen. But really, when people look in, they can't. They get a reflection. They get that mirrored back to what they think they see. No one's ever going to see in there. And you can't change what they think they see anyway. So it becomes kind of like null and void. It's like, why did I ever bother trying to maintain this false sense of privacy when organically it works perfectly, with no hiding, with no shame, with no shadows? So So yeah, that's my talk for today. I'm out of time. I might come back a little later and talk a little bit more about organic privacy versus inorganic assumptions of privacy, and also what that has to do with data, computer technologies, where we're going in the world, open air surveillance, prison state, their counterfeit model of what they're trying to really hijack the golden model and force it into manifestation of negative alignments. So perhaps I'll come back at another time and talk a little bit more about that if anybody's interested. Leave a comment if you care, if you'd like to. If you have opinions or perspective on this, I'd love to hear about it as well, so feel free to send me messages or leave comments. You can always find my email in the description, or find me on Telegram if you want to send a message over there. If you use that, you find me a.Marie.Speaks over there on the channel, and then just look at the channel details and you'll see the owner of the channel, and that's my sort of private, well, not private, it's public, but where you could send me a message over there. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Thank you for your contribution to our collective. We wouldn't be the same without you. Thank you for witnessing mine, and I'll see you next time.